Hey y'all. I'm hoping that, sometimes when you do a Facebook Live from your computer, it jacks up. And so I'm hoping that this video will play nice and be nice. And I think that maybe I should post a link to said video on my Google review page, and I think I will. You all know I came to you, oh God, when was that? Was that last Saturday? I don't know. I was in here by myself. I had two things happen. I had Karen, Miss Whisper Selenite, come into the store after hours. I'd not gotten to lock the door. We close at 6 on Saturdays. I was going to the back I was finishing some candles. And if you know anything about candles and heat and all of that, you just can't leave things going. So when she came in, I was like, oh, well, I'm close, but you can come in, and so I showed her our list of formulations and gave her a brief thing around the store, and she wanted to talk. People come to spiritual stores and they like to talk. As a priestess of my religion, we are often counselors for people that need somebody to talk to. I would say that is probably one of the more difficult things of my job, because sometimes you have people come in here and they just be on some straight fuck shit. And, they want to talk to you and get your opinion and how you feel about it. But what happens often is when people are on fuck shit, they don't like the response that's given to them if someone is going to sit up and be honest with them and tell them the truth. And if you look at the website and you see that our mission is about having a safe place, especially for people who are in African traditional religions, to come and to learn about magic and to not have to deal with a lot of that additional baggage that comes along from the colonizers who have come and taken many of our magical practices, and they either in the beginning twisted them and came up with these terms like black magic, with black meaning everything bad. If you know anything about hoodoo, black is a blocker, black is a cleanser as well as a curser. We acknowledge our dark and our light and our magic. So when people make comments about, oh, I don't practice black magic, and how that conversation came to be was, I was just telling her about all the different things she could use to protect herself. And I was like, well, there's nothing, first of all, the only thing black about my magic is me. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry if I offended you. And I'm like, yeah, it was very offensive. But see, this is the thing, and this is true maturity. When you can tell somebody that you're offended, explain why you're offended without cussing somebody out, or I, within rights, could have just put her out the store. And traditionally in my business, the people who support this business the most are people who are of my race. However, everybody who comes into my store, money is green. We are all treated with professionalism. They're treated with courtesy. They're sold items. They're talked to, given advice. Even when sometimes I don't want to, like in the case of that woman. Now, the reality of the matter is I could told her to get the fuck out. I mean, if I'm that bad of a person or a merchant, I could have done that. And see, the thing is I, like many of us, we get really, really tired of educating people who do and say ignorant things to us. And, gone are the days where we're going to sit there and allow that to be done, to be said. So, me, shit, out the kindness of my heart, I could have ignored all of that shit and let her go on out here in these streets and say that to somebody who maybe she wouldn't have gotten such a professional response. And that conversation happened at the beginning of her visit. Like I said, I said half an hour, she said 20 minutes, whatever. conversing with me about her personal business and her financial situation and what she was able to do. And as the merchant that I am, working to give her solutions that fit her budget. It was her birthday. She wanted to treat herself. So, yeah, I have real issues when you think about it a week later and you don't like the fact that somebody told you that you were offensive. And no time was that person cursed at, mistreated, or put out of my store. But you know, I think about like all the stories that my grandparents would tell, things that I've seen in movies, where people will come into your establishment as a person of color, especially a Black person, you treat somebody very inappropriately, but still expect us to bow down and provide top-notch quality service to you, which I did. And she didn't have none of that coming. And so, you know, I'm going to actually share a link to this video on that particular review because I need people to be aware of certain things. We don't have to tolerate mistreatment under any circumstance. I have never tolerated it in my life, and I'm never going to. And, you know, in the previous review from a Karen, I did tell her, I will burn this motherfucker down before I am allowed to be walked over in something that I've spent. I don't even know how much money we spent putting this place together, but it is well over the $10,000 mark. You're not going to come in, number one, and first of all, let's not even talk about this from a racial perspective. Let's talk about this from a magical perspective. You know, this whole term of black magic and everybody in this love and light shit that doesn't acknowledge that there is a yin and there is a yang and there's a balance to nature and to life. There is a time to live. There is a time to die. There is a time for war. There is a time of for peace. Maybe if I start quoting Ecclesiastes, maybe I can speak in a language that some of these pseudo New Age or former Christians will understand. Okay, I don't even use that term. Not my parents or my grandparents, because my grandparents wouldn't tolerate it. I grew up in Medina, Ohio, which is a very small, very white town. And my cousin is mixed. She looks white. Well, she did when we were little. And one of the neighborhood, I'm not going to use that term, but one of the neighborhood kids spit in her hair. And Big Liz took her ass right around the corner, walked in front of their house, stood in their front fucking yard, and explained how we had been in that neighborhood for over 100 years. My great-great-grandfather ran from the Klan because they was going to kill him. They took his land in Georgia. For somebody to come and mistreat one of her children based on who she was and what she looked like. And if they didn't like it, they could get out the fucking neighborhood. And so my whole thing is this. This is my business. I own this business. This business was put into place because there was a void. We don't have any Black-owned conjure shops in Columbus, storefronts that I am aware of, wholly, solely Black-owned. We have at least one where one of the people who owns the store is Black. We don't have a place that focuses on our magic, our Black magic. And I just basically told her that the only thing about my magic that was Black is me. And that is a very offensive term and that she should reconsider using it in the future. And we went on to have what I felt was a very productive conversation to help her get the things that she needed. And yes, I did go to the back and asked her to come and step back there with me because she wanted to talk, and I had shit to do today, that day, and every day. When I get off of this video, I'm going to go right back to doing the work that I've been trying to get done all day. So, you know, we really need to stop and think about the way we talk to people, just not even from a racial perspective. The things that people say because of what they believe that may not coincide with what other people believe. There's ways to communicate things in manners that don't insult anybody's race or magical practice. People don't like truth. It's called cognitive dissonance. When something that you have held on to as a stalwart principle that probably guides her magical practice, you push back when you hear something contrary to that. It shows that you lack evolution, the ability to evolve and to grow spiritually. It shows that you lack maturity, and you most certainly lack self-confidence. See, those things are not problems that I have. I'm not scared of people. I'm not scared of their opinions. I'm not scared of the fact that they won't shop here. That's not why I'm here. Now, if money was my motivation, then I would sell white sage and I'd have them taking hoodoo classes and I'd be, whatever I could do to get that money. That's never going to happen. I have integrity. Whether or not people choose to believe in it is completely up to them. Whether or not you feel like this is a welcoming space, that's up to you. Very interesting that night, that right after that happened, I had a situation, and that was the one that really bothered me, where I'd gotten a card from a Black vendor because I was interested in possibly using her food truck for our events. And she took the card back because she found out that I practiced magic. Actually, that was more offensive. But the reality of it is no, you don't get to sit up and say offensive things in my space. If you come in here and you make comments against gay people, trans people, anybody, especially people who are marginalized, people who suffer from oppression, racism, and discrimination, then no, that's not welcome in this space. We don't need that energy here. The energy that we want to project as a business is one of growth, one of loving yourself, one of improving your situation and therefore improving the situations of the people that are around you. Magic is used, as Judith Isles says, to level the playing field. In this article, Nichols and the Nation Sect, that I use in one of my classes, it talks about the purpose of magic being used to even unjust odds. The reason why I'm sitting here and speaking with you today, the reason why I am in this store is due to the many things that my ancestors did to ensure that our descendants would be able to continue to thrive and live. And yes, I have for my entire life, and will do so until the day I die, defend and protect what is sacred to me. My magic is sacred to me. My ancestors are sacred to me. My spirits are sacred to me. My creator is sacred to me. And so when someone will come along, and they always do, that tries to dismantle our growth, I'm going to say something. I think that too often we have gotten used to, just out of self-preservation, ducking our heads, lowering our eyes, sharing glances with each other when some bullshit goes down, and not saying a word. We have to learn how to speak out when we see wrong things. We have to help people who may be ignorant about certain things. That's why I am a teacher of magic. That is why I work very hard to make sure that people understand what they're getting into when they're practicing magic, what spirits they're working with, what energies they're doing, and why I always stress divination before performing any magic. You don't have to worry about whether your magic's going to work or whether it's right if you know how to divine. That's what I'm here for. I really wish that people that don't get down with this vibe, if you don't practice magic, now mind you, the woman who gave me her card back, who took her card back from me, we was outside. We was in front of my store. She hadn't come in. I solicited her. And, like, once again, those were two very large tests of my maturity that evening. The old me would have ripped that shit up in front of her face. The old me would have been like, fuck you, kept it and used it as a personal concern. But see, I don't need to solicit her business if she is against the very mission of mine. And so I think that was a resounding theme for that evening. You come into my store, you don't understand why the term black magic used negatively from a magical or a racial perspective is ignorant and offensive. There's really not much I can do other than tell you. And really, honestly, it's up to you what you want to do with it. And you can give me all the 1 stars in the world. I don't work off of ratings and likes and approvals of mere mortals. And see, that's where she got me all fucked up. That's where people have this business all fucked up. And of course, it's because of the way a lot of spiritual merchants have conducted themselves. They'll sell anything to anybody. They'll just keep quiet and smile and let them buy their $2, $3 worth of incense and chime candles, because that's what they tend to do, these types of people. People that won't feed you dinner based on their purchases. But in a larger sense, just because you spent a whole lot of money with me doesn't mean that I'm going to tolerate your bullshit either. Y'all have seen that. I've had customers lecture me on everything to what a business day is, as to when their orders are supposed to go out, without any idea what it goes into to create some of the things that you all use in a split second, often without any conscious idea of what you are actually setting into motion. So the proof in the pudding is that half of my customers every month are repeat customers. The people that come into the store on a regular basis, white, black, Latino, whatever they are, the people who are regulars are not the people that are coming and buying some chime candles and some incense and trying to pump your brain for information. They're serious about their work. And, for people who are new to the practice, nor do we demean them when they come in here. Now, if you want to come in here and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about and you want to argue like you do, I'll let you know you're wrong. And I'll let you know what your missteps are, because obviously you came here because you thought I was going to give you some information that you can use. Often people don't like the information they receive when they are on fuck shit. It's called cognitive dissonance. And I've never entertained it. I never will, There are going to be some people out here that will just want your money. I've had people ask me to do spell work and all types of different things that I know was wrong. And I've been like, no. I had somebody coming here tonight wanting some formulation, and I'm like, baby, you really need the other one. Okay? Because that's what we're supposed to be here for. I mean, I hate when I go in Menards is good for that. You go in there and you need some help and you doing something, ordinary household, fixed thing. And you would think that there would be somebody in the store who could give you some good advice. No, not there. I've had to go to other places, Home Depot, Lowe's. They just seem to be more knowledgeable about the things that they were selling. So I really appreciate when I go into a store and somebody asks me questions and I give them the information according to what I know and what I've learned. There were a lot of things that had to go into place before I even opened a store. And one of them was my initiation. I'm like, how am I going to be walking around here running a magical shop and I really haven't gotten the education or the protection needed to do this type of work in a very public space? You know, being a public conjurer has always been a very hard thing for me because I know that this work is personal and secret. And back in the days, we didn't have a lot of storefronts. You went to the back of the laundromat, you went to the back of the church, you went to some old woman's house, and you were served privately. So this whole public persona, hanging out shingles, likes and follows on social media and stuff has never been something that has made me comfortable. But I will be damned, and I will go to my grave before I let anybody lie on me. So, you know, this is what you get when you come here. You get welcome, you get explanations, you get education, and usually I don't really say much to folks anymore unless they ask me, or unless they state some sort of absurd opinion that contradicts everything we're here for. Yeah, if you think that protective, even retribution, justice, and retaliatory magic is black, this ain't the store for you. Because there has never been anything wrong with spiritually protecting yourself and reversing bullshit that people put out here in the universe to you. We've got this mentality, especially from them, that to fight back is wrong. They always want to quote Martin Luther King, but they don't want to quote the parts where he says that, you know, a riot is the protest of the unheard. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the Poor People's Campaign. We don't want to talk about his anti-Vietnam status. All they want us to do is bow down, lower our heads, and say, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, when they on some fuck shit. I'm sorry. I ain't never been about that life. I'm 50 years old. I doubt very seriously that I'm going to start. Y'all have a good evening. If you support Black people and Black folks magic, please stop by Erzuli's Conjure Garden at 6565 East Livingston. I don't give a damn what color you are. But just like in the church, at your mama's house, or any place where you are a near experienced elders, you're going to respect me. You're going to respect what I do. And you're not going to come into my store and say offensive shit and not get checked. I've never been about that life. And remember, I'm not out here trying to spread the good news of Papa Legba in front of somebody's church or attacking people as they walk by, telling them that they really need to, you know, get their mind right and get with what I'm doing. It's voluntary. You come in here, we have supplies. We don't even have to talk. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you. You need magical supplies? Come get them. But understand, in my home, and this is my home away from home, this is my happy place, you will never, ever, ever walk in any place that I am busting my behind to pay the bills for and try to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. Save that for your mama, your friends, your coven, or some other store in the area. Don't bring it here. Have a good night.